The Center for Research and Training in Corporate Regulation functions with a vision to give pivot for discussion, training, and research in commercial laws and allied areas.
It gives me immense pleasure to introduce our esteemed guest speaker for today, Mr. Nitin Potdar. Sir is a corporate lawyer and M&A senior partner at J. Sagar Associates.
Okay, friends, I am also told that the first year students are also listening on the other room. Okay, great. And most of you are 5th year students and LLM students and 4th year, I guess. So most of you have studied, I guess, the Companies Act. Am I right? Okay. So I have not made any presentation. I don't wish to work hard on these kind of sessions anymore. I just want to have a dialogue with you, have a conversation with you, because there is no point in me taking a master class or a class on M&A. Though that information is all available on Google, so you can please read from that there. My endeavor today is going to be, if that's fine with you all, I want to address questions that you have in your mind. So my request will be, first, please open up your mind. Let's have a conversation. I want to understand what questions you have. Let it be silliest question, doesn't matter. But let's talk. Let's try to address issues that you think are the issues that you face during your college, or you think you would face when you get out of the college and start practicing. Only thing is, don't ask me how do you get internship in JSA or whether you are going to get placed in JSA. So, because that is all run through our portal. You have to apply online. If you are lucky enough, you will get internship. If you are not, you will not get internship. But that's not the road of success. Getting internship in JSA is not the road for success. So don't worry about that. You will get internship in some way, if not in JSA, in some other firm. So my request will be, first, be open, be bold, ask questions. Don't worry about, nobody is going to laugh at you. Let it be a silliest question, no problem. 5-6 questions you first ask me, then that will set the tone of discussion, and I'll know exactly what you want to hear from me. Go for it. Either you ask questions or I'll point out people and ask them to ask questions. Chalo. And be loud on question. We can't waste time on this.
So just the recent development in ODI rules and regulations, how do you think it would impact the acquisition or transfer of money which takes place by the clients in India to the foreign subsidiaries, or the round tripping which has been made legitimate?
Very good. So this answer you only should give me. I have not studied the ODI latest guidelines. So please make a small research paper on this, or whatever answers on this, and email it to me. Next question.
So I just had a very basic doubt that we were discussing even in class. So
Which class?
Company law.
Which class? Which class? Standard?
Third year.
Okay.
So
only request is you will introduce yourself and tell me the class, because that's important for me.
yes, sir. So I'm Sonakshi Rogan. I'm from third year.
Yeah.
So this we were discussing recently that according to Section 72 of Companies Act, it is given that nominees are considered as trustees and not owners according to the recent developments. Now, my doubt is that according to the literal interpretation of the Act or any other area that we look into, even chronologically specific over general, I am of an understanding it should be an owner. So why is it taken as a trustee and not owner of the right of nomination?
Okay. So first rule, I am not here to answer questions on company law, as specific company law, because I don't think I am a Google person. I am not Google. So I will not have specific answers to your sections or guidelines or whatever. I am here on the session of how do you study corporate law. Kiran, have we not told them what is the purpose of session?
Yes, we have told them.
Okay, so these 2 questions are misfired completely.
So maybe
So no, my request is, please do research on this and send me a research paper on my email. It's nitin@jslo.com. Next question.
So let me be the serious person in
Sure.
the room. I being a corporate initial difficulty I felt was how to read this. It came out as to most of the students, it comes out to be a very monotonous, boring course. Then there is a complexity of understanding the entire concept of share capital, the difference between private and public. So the first difficulty to study corporate law is to understand the business model and how the company entirely works and what are the shareholders' ownership. So that takes time to sink in. The concept of company, capital, debt, that takes time for a student to sink in. So this is my first question, how do I start studying company law and how do I generate interest? Apart from I having a specific interest, but how do my students overall, they can generate or I can help them to generate interest in company law? And second most important question which I as a guardian it troubles me is, if I did, getting internship and placement is luck. If I do not get internship,
It is hard work.
okay, it is hard work. You said right now. So suppose I did not get internship in a top tier law firms. What else can I do which can boost my CV, and I should not be disappointed that I did not get that coveted internship, but still I am doing something worthwhile, which when tomorrow I am going to make an application, be to any law firm or to for LLM degree, that will add value and that will take give attention to my CV. So what
Good
should
questions,
I
very good question. Now, do you all subscribe to these questions?
Yes, sir.
Is this question in the mind of everyone?
Yes, sir.
Are you sure? Or someone wants to know section 73, 129, 153? Are you sure? Okay. So, first of all, I would like to know, just raise your hand. How many of you want to become corporate lawyers? Majority of you. Why do you want to create competition for us?
I want to become corporate lawyer because there is a good pay. And
I
I
see.
come and take this degree on
It's a glamorous field.
more than glamorous.
There's lot of money.
Lot of money. And I come on the background of loan.
Okay. So, sorry. It is not just the question of understanding Companies Act, Kiran, as you said. During your 5-year law school, law college, the curriculum, you will have lot of subjects: contract law, civil procedure code, criminal procedure code, law of evidence, property act, contract law. You will have lot of subjects. How would you develop interest in those subjects? How would you develop interest in those subjects? How do you study those subjects is very important. But before that, let me tell you, law, becoming a lawyer means, what do you mean by lawyering? I would like to understand that. What do you mean by lawyering? Lawyering means, can anyone answer me? What do you mean by lawyering means what? Let me just hear from you. You have all chosen to become lawyers. You have chosen, you must have scored very good marks in 12th standard. You must have scored good marks in the entrance tests. So when you decided to become a lawyer, what did you understand by being a lawyer? Like a doctor is here there to cure a patient. What is lawyering means? Can anyone explain it to me? Because a lot will depend upon how do you understand, how do you pursue the profession law means. Yeah, please.
Provide legal aid to the client as doctor provides like medicines for your issues, right? As lawyers.
Okay, so lawyering means your ability to provide solutions. It is not just application of just reading sections and telling what section, what does it mean by what that section. Lawyering is providing constructive solutions. Clients are going to come to you for advice. Simplest case is, if in your society where you stay, if a member is not registered member and the managing committee is denying him the right to become member, so what would you advise him? So you will study corporate, the law of corporation, the Cooperative Societies Act. You will study the bylaws. You will understand his facts, what has happened, why the managing committee is not admitting him as a member, and you will try to understand from him, understand the position of the managing committee, and you will advise him. Am I right? That's the solution. Similarly, if you want to start a business, or you want any friend of yours approaches you, saying that I'm doing a startup, I want to collaborate with someone, what should I do? So you will understand the business model of that venture. You will understand the rights and obligations, what they pursue as the rights and obligations of the partners, and you will try to structure a shareholders agreement or a joint venture agreement between the two. Now these are solutions that comes from you. Now where does the solution come? The solution doesn't come from your law degree. Nobody is going to teach you in MNLU as to if someone comes to you to set up a joint venture, this is how you have to structure a joint venture. No, Kiran or her staff is not going to teach you this. In fact, in your entire 5-year curriculum, there is no subject like setting up joint ventures. Am I right? There is no subject. Maybe becoming a member of cooperative law, cooperative society may be there. So the point I am making is that first of all, imbibe in your mind that you are solution provider. Now introspect first of all. Find out from your own self, from your own personality, character and the way you behave. Are you a solution provider? In your day-to-day life, whenever you face a problem, do you think that, oh, I can find a solution? Like if you get trapped in traffic, what do? You go to Google Map and try to find out. You ask someone. You explore. You try out. You take left turn, right turn, you take U-turn, and then you reach your destination. Am I right? That is how your mind, you first of all find out, introspect whether you really are cut to become a lawyer. Please understand, friends, getting 90%, 99% is no good. Is no good at all, not at all. If tomorrow, any client comes to you, will you show him your certificate? Oh, 5th year I have got scored 90%, so I will charge so and so. Will you do that? Will anyone pay you? I always tell friends, this comparative analysis between a medical professional or an engineer and a doctor. Listen to me very carefully. You may immediately understand or not, but think upon what I am talking. A student of medicine, he scores on an average. He is not at all say for example a rank holder. He scores on an average. He becomes an MBBS doctor. He goes home in whichever part of the country, Indore, Nagpur, Nasik, Gwalior, wherever he goes back, outside his house, he puts up a board saying that Mr. So and so, MBBS doctor. Will patients come to him? Yes, patients will come to him. Obviously, patients will come to him. Will they ask him his degree? No. They will not only come there, they'll take medicine and he'll pay for it also. Now you all go back to your homes and put up on your home that I am an LLB gold medalist. Let me see how many people come to you. And not only how many people come to you, how many people will want to pay you after listening to you. First of all, when they see a young boy, they say, oh, he has done no experience. What is he going to advise me? They look to you with a doubt, oh, whether you will be really capable of advising me or not. And despite you giving the best advice to him, he will say, look, I am not going to pay you. Let me see whether your advice works or not. Similarly, engineering. The minute you get an engineering degree, any company is going to take you in some form or the other. They will pay you also. So friends, medicine, engineering, getting admissions are difficult. But throughout your life, the degree helps you. It acts as a cushion to you. It will automatically keep you floating. Law is not that easy. Getting admission in law may be easy, but working as a lawyer is very difficult. I'll give you a classic example. In your 5-year course, do you have SEBI rules and regulations? Do you have FEMA regulations? Do you have FDI guidelines? Do you have competition law you have right now? Now, I heard just now say most of you want to become corporate lawyers. Do you know today to practice as a corporate lawyer, you need to understand the entire FDI guidelines of the Government of India starting from 1991. Why I am saying 1991? Because in August 1991, Dr. Manmohan Singh announced the liberalization policy of the country, and that's how we have evolved. So you have to study the guidelines for how many years? Almost 30 years. SEBI was incorporated in 1992, and from 92 onwards, 94 came the first SEBI takeover code, 97 came the revised takeover code, then came the insider regulations, then came the FII regulations, and so on and so forth. So you need to understand and study all the SEBI regulations of the last 30 years. In 1999, FERA was replaced by FEMA. So you need to understand what is FERA and what is FEMA also both. Though FERA is not applicable, but the basic concepts of foreign exchange regulations is critically laid down under FERA. So you need to understand FERA and FEMA both. Now, do you have all those subjects in your law in 5 years? It is not there. So when you get a gold medal of fifth year law, and when you go outside to become a corporate lawyer, and the first query that you get is say on foreign investment, what would you do? Would you say, अरे किरण मैम ने सिखाया नहीं हमको, MNA ने हमको सिखाया नहीं FEMA regulations क्या होता है? Nobody told us this. How do I practice this? I went to file law school, file law firms for internship. Nobody told us this. Will you say that? Will you say that? How many years can you keep blaming others? First year में blame करोगे आप. Oh, my law school was useless. I got internship in third grade law firms. Nobody guided me. There was no one to. It was so frustrating that nobody is there to guide us. Do you feel this way sometimes? You must be feeling every day that we want to learn, we want to grow, we want to do so many things in life, but there is just no guidance available. Am I right? You must be feeling this. How long can you do that? How long would you do that? After getting out of the college, first year, second year, third year, how long will you do this? So friends, first and foremost rule of law is, becoming a lawyer is, it's all self-study. Nobody is going to teach you. Nobody is going to hold your hand. Getting internship in the best law firm means nothing. Trust me, nothing. We don't interact with any interns. Trust me, I want to interact, but I don't get time to interact with them. I just don't have time. I don't have that much of patience. I have very little patience. So how would you learn? So first and foremost rule, I would say, imbibe in your mind that becoming a lawyer is self-study, complete self-study. Now after you have gone out of the college, all subjects are taught to you, whatever the curriculum had, whatever syllabus you are taught. After 2 years, there is a new law on artificial intelligence. There is a new law on data analytics. There is a new law on mobility. There is a new law on environment, ESG. Would you say at that time, no, these subjects I am not going to practice because this was not taught to me in my law school? Will you say that? You will have to learn that. I passed out law in 1988, 89, 1991 I became solicitor. In 2013, the 56 Act which I studied for 25-30 years, that is changed to 2013 Act. The worst ever act, the drafting part of it, I mean to say. It was amended several times. What do I do? Should I say I am stopping my practice because I studied 1956 Act, 2013, I is no more my cup of tea now. Can I say that? So all the laws which I am practicing in the 30 years, friends, they came all from 92 SEBI, 99 FERA, the SEBI, the FDI guidelines from 91 onwards. I passed out in 88. Many of you may not have even born at that time. So the point I am making is in 30 years, the several changes of law, the new legislations which come in, we have to study on our own. So first is you have to find out whether you are solution provider or not. Are you open to learning? Are you open to listening? Secondly, it is all law, practicing law is all about self-study. How much can you put in yourself? Now, Kiran, the question you asked me is how to create an interest in any subject. Now, friends, look, law that way is abstract. It's not interesting. It's not novel. Studying Companies Act is not like a novel, or studying any law for that matter. It is not a English movie story. What you are learning. It is not a language literature where you will find some interest. These are all abstract things. And abstract things, I understand, at times it becomes very boring. If I tell you to just read Companies Act and come back, it will be very difficult. So you have to find your own way. One way could be, see, I am a solicitor. Okay, so after my law, I had to study for solicitor. It's an extremely difficult exam. I had to undergo that exam. Now, unless you take up any further studies, see, you need to have compulsion to study. Sometimes I feel that is important. So you could take up admission in LLM. So you still keep learning. But if you are not doing LLM, or if you are not doing further studies like solicitors in Bombay, or because solicitor exam is only in Bombay, it is not that course is not available outside Bombay. So if you think that, look, I cannot study more, I need to practice, so you will have to put your head down, open a book, say for example Companies Act. This is how I studied. Your methodology could be completely different. How did I study, or how do I study any law for that? Whenever I get any law, how do I study? I first examine the index. See the chapters, how they are divided. Don't jump to straight away 6th or 7th chapter. Once you divide into chapters, take a chapter, first chapter, second chapter, read the objective of the chapter, read the objective of those sections, see the scheme of the act. First, take the grasp of the subject. Now, there are so many articles, trust me friend, there are so many articles written which gives you glimpses of the entire act. Go through that. Try to grab the subject. Try to understand the concept of the subject. For example, there is a chapter on share capital, there is a chapter on management. So, you do chapter wise. Don't jump to sections. Don't just start reading the section. It will be boring. So, see the chapters. Most importantly, my recommendation will be, look at the Supreme Court decisions. Why I am saying Supreme Court decisions? Because when any matter goes to Supreme Court, at that time, that those facts or the interpretation of any section or any law would have undergone changes. For example, the High Court would have thought differently, Division Bench would have interpreted differently, and then it goes to Supreme Court. So you will get interpretation from at least 2-3 sides. If the Supreme Court decision has reversed the High Court decision, you will know what was decided in the High Court and how it has been now interpreted by Supreme Court. So my recommendation will be, make a habit of reading Supreme Court decisions. Again, what's the best way? I can only share my experience with you. So every Saturday, when I started my career, every Saturday I used to tell my librarian to put the company law cases, corporate law cases, or mark the company cases under AIR. I used to tell my librarian, he used to mark and keep it with me for Saturday. After my office hours, 3:34, couple of friends, we used to sit. I used to read one judgment, someone else used to read judgment, not loudly. We used to study the judgments and we used to discuss. Law is all about cooperation. How do you cooperate with people? Form small groups right now. From this age itself, have good friends along with you. If you have studied a good judgment, share that judgment with someone else. Don't hold it to you. Because when you explain the judgment, mind you are explaining it to yourself. The more you explain, the more your thoughts become clear. So form small groups. Spend 1 hour in a week. Exchange what judgments you have read. Exchange what sections you have read. Trust me, instead of running for internship, see, internships are important, no doubt about it. But during your college, in your 5 years, from 3rd year, at least from 3rd or 4th year onwards, you could form small groups. You could spend 1 hour on Saturdays or Friday evening or whenever. You assign tasks to each other, saying that, look, let's study M&A sections, M&A chapter. Let's get to someone will study the sections, someone will study the case law, and you will discuss. Do that. That's how you have to create interest, and that's how you have to go forward. There is no other shortcut to this. Nobody is going to read sections for you. Nobody is going to hold your hand and explain you those sections. That's not available, unfortunately, friends. So that's how you create, interest in any law. There is no choice. Please understand, there is no shortcut. There is just no shortcut. I can't prescribe a medicine or capsule to you saying, oh, you take this capsule and Companies Act will be, you will be master of Companies Act. That's not going to happen. It's a process. Give yourself time. But when I'm saying give yourself time, means discipline time. Make a plan for yourself. Make a plan that look, in next 3 months I am going to study Companies Act and 2 other acts. In next 3 months, 3 to 6 months I am going to study SEBI laws, I am going to study this. And trust me, don't make up your mind or don't freeze your mind right now to say that look, I would like to become securities lawyer or I would like to become competition lawyer. Please don't do that. Explore yourself first of all. When you come out of the college for next 3 to 4 years, see, to my mind, from you pass out, I think you will be 24, 25. Till 30, 35, 5, 6 years, you have to explore. See what are the laws, various laws, where you find interest, because suddenly you will find interest in some other law, some different field of law. What would you do at that time? And you need to understand all the laws. You need to really, I'm not saying you need to master, but you need to understand. If any section of any law comes to you, how are you going to interpret? Friends, please understand, again I am repeating, practicing law is a tough job. It's not easy. You will be put to test every day. Every day you will be put to test. Even we face that testing time even now in our careers. As I said, I am worried tomorrow ESG comes in. So supposing there is new law on ESG, some new law on artificial intelligence, data analytics. What do? I'll have to study those laws. I'll have to perforce make an attempt to at least understand. Sit with engineers, sit with innovators, sit with scientists and understand what the law, how will it intersect various businesses. So it's a tough job. It is not easy. Secondly, it is not doing a job. I hate that word when people tell me, sir, I need a job in your law firm. What do you mean by job in law firm? You are not doing a job. You are practicing as a lawyer. Job means you are applying to some bank or somewhere as a clerk, manager or something else. No, you are not doing a job. You are a professional. You aspire to become a professional. So that's how you have to create interest in the subjects. You have to work hard. That journey is not that easy. Today, supposing, for example, you want to study, say, shareholders agreement. You may just not get a draft. Today it is available on Google, but that draft which you get, the draft agreement, that may not be the correct draft which you want to look at. It will be, say, for example, you will talk to people, you will talk to friends, you will do more research, you will get 10 drafts. You will wonder which draft is the correct draft I should study. There is nothing like correct or wrong. You have to study everything, what is available to you. You will wonder, I wanted 50-50 JV, but every time I do search, I get only 51-49 draft. What do I do? So it's a struggle. It's a hard work which you have to put in. And again, there is no shortcut, as I said. So that's how you have to study. Again, you have to mix and match your academic study with the case laws from Supreme Court, because that will add some flavor to you. Supreme Court cases or case law will add some good flavor to you, because those are the actual facts which you will be studying. That's how you study a specific law. So my request will be it's a self-study. Don't freeze your mind that saying that I will become securities lawyer, I will become a banking lawyer, I will become an M&A lawyer. No, please don't freeze your mind. It's too early stage to my mind. Work for 3-4 years, 5 years, and see how where your interest lies, where you get opportunities, because you may not get an opportunity. You may want to become an M&A lawyer, but you may not get an opportunity to work in M&A department. What will you do? Will you say, I'm not going to study further? No. Whatever opportunity you get, if you get opportunity in a law firm where there is litigation, learn that litigation. You need to learn litigation. So please understand. The other day, very strange question was asked to me by a student. He said, so what is court receiver? Who is court receiver? Now, because I'm sure that boy may not have attended any litigation law firm, therefore he doesn't understand what is court receiver. So, even if you want to become a corporate lawyer, I would strongly suggest every one of you should work in a litigation department of a law firm which has some litigation, corporate litigation, commercial litigation, banking litigation, whatever litigation. What is pleading? What is a plaint? What is a written statement, reply, affidavit in reply? What is notice of motion, chamber summons, summons for judgment? You need to understand all those things. You must have read only in the civil procedure code. But you need to see how a summons for judgment is drafted. How is it filed in the court of law? So, whether you get, first of all, of course, you must aim to get internship in good law firms, no doubt about it. If you get nothing like it, but getting internship in law firms, in good law firms, will only make you satisfied that I have done internship in good law firms. I don't know how much knowledge will you carry from there. You will get to know the big law firms, how do they function, how clients come, how meetings happen, that's all. But in terms of actual knowledge, friends, if you ask me, you will get to learn every minute if you get to work with a mid-sized law firm or smaller law firm of 5-6 lawyers. Trust me, because you will do everything over there. Right from stitching, you will learn everything. I was taught first as a solicitor article clerk. My boss told me, "Do you know how to stitch the planes?" And I was stitching it. That's how you learn. So choose a law firm which is a smaller law firm, but which has litigation practice, which has property practice. Property practice is huge. You need to understand property practice. So try to get into work into law firms or individual lawyers who practice all this stuff, and then gradually keep your studying. See, it's a process. It will go on for some time. So this is how, Kiran, you develop interest in any subject. This is how you progress. Yeah, please.
I'm Ankit, so I kind of have an unconventional route to law. So I entered the law much later in my life. In fact, I think possibly like 12, 16 years after most of you. So my question over here, actually I had a couple of questions which you already answered. One was about, how do you balance practicing law and studying law, but that you already answered. So one question was which is a specific one is, how much do you think studying for the BIRS exam, the solicitor's exam, has helped you? And would you recommend it in today's day and age, especially when we are looking at courses like the MMBs? Now, normally in a law college, you get to go and work. Over here, days are pretty much 8-hour days, so we can't really step out and do a clerkship as well until we have finished our studies, until we have gotten our LLB degree. So that's one question. Other question is more open-ended. Apart from learning and research, what advice would you give to somebody who wants to go out and practice as a lawyer, as compared to somebody who's an in-house counsel or something? That's all.
So it's a. See, I am a solicitor, so I am prejudiced in favor of the exam.
Which is fine, sir.
But I must tell with you, I was sort of fortunate because when I didn't have, by the way, 5-year law school. During my time, when I passed out in 88, 89, that was the first batch of 5-year law school when it came out.
3+3
It was 3+3. So we had to be graduate and then we had to take up law. So I am a arts graduate with commerce, with economics and politics as the main subjects. Fortunately, I must tell you that the entire batch of my friends who were we were studying in arts, we all wanted to become solicitors. This is coincidence. This sheer coincidence. And one of my friend, his uncle was a solicitor. So he used to come and tell us those various stories as to how people work in solicitors firms, these, that, others. So from my first year BA itself, I knew what a solicitor's practice is. Okay. So anyway, coming back to your question, whether one should do solicitors or not. Now, I would, because I am a solicitor, I would obviously tell you that yes, you must undergo that solicitor's exam.
You also end up learning a lot of black letter law.
Yeah. So the reason is not the degree. The reason is the rigorous study that you do for that exam. Almost we used to take 5 to 6 months leave for that exam. But it's a tough exam. It's really tough to crack the exam. I think the passing mark now still is 65.
Yeah, I think around 10 people out of everyone.
Out of 110 students, exams they seat appear. I think 6-7 people pass.
Yes.
Okay. But I can tell you one thing. I can share my personal experience, and I'm not going to lie on one word on this. I failed in the first attempt because my aggregate was less. Because you have to score an aggregate also. Not only individually you have to score 65 marks, I think, but on aggregate also you have to be 60% or above. So aggregate I failed. I was dejected, disappointed, thoroughly disappointed. Because I was looking forward to start my practice. I said, how long am I going to get stuck with these exams? Oh, thank you. But trust me, friends, when I went back to study again, I thanked my stars that I failed in the first attempt. Trust me, I am not exaggerating at all. When I second time when I opened the book after 15-20 days of hibernation, and when I looked at my notes, I immediately came to know my mistakes that I made during my study. I had made exhaustive notes, and I could not revise them during my exams. And there are several mistakes I did. But trust me, when I looked at the Companies Act again, when I looked at Civil Procedure Code again, the contract law, the subjects which we were to study, I felt so happy that I started enjoying reading law. And we also had to study case laws. 3 years case law we had to study immediately preceding the exam. And all case laws on those subjects we had to compulsorily study, because they used to ask questions direct on case laws. So second time, the point I am making is, it makes you study. Otherwise, nobody forces you to study. Why did I say that you try to take LLM admission? Because at least that LLM, that force that you need to appear for exam will make you read something. I must also share with things, again I am telling this very humbly. During my graduation, I had a subject called rural development. Okay, it was a very interesting subject. What happens in rural India? I am very humbly but very proud to tell you, last year I completed Masters in Rural Development. I actually took admission in a college for my Masters in Rural Development, and I completed. I went to college, I wrote exams, like you all sit. I went to Vasai, because only that college gave me admission. I appeared for 2 years. The final year during the COVID was an online exam, but I completed my Masters in Rural Development. The point is, why did I do that? Because I enjoyed the subject. So you need to really enjoy reading, enjoy learning. As a lawyer, that is something which you should really cherish. I still recollect that Hindustan Liver's Tomco Hindustan Liver merger when happened in 96-97. I worked in that matter. The Bombay High Court had given a judgment, and for several years I read that judgment. Then it was challenged in Supreme Court, and Supreme Court gave a celebrated judgment. That judgment is still very valid for lot of points. So please, anyone wants to learn M&A, go to that judgment of Tomco Liver merger, the Supreme Court decision. Also look at Mir Mafatlal. These are the two celebrated judgments. Now, I still maintain copies of that judgment marked in 97-98. I still have those judgments, and sometimes whenever I feel bored or otherwise, I open those judgments and read certain paragraphs. So you need to really fall in love with reading, fall in love with learning. Unless you do that, you need to cherish learning. You need to do that. So answer is one last point on solicitor's exam. See, once you enter that exam, it becomes your personal ego. It becomes automatically your ego that you need to clear that exam. You can't survive in life saying that, look, I attempted and I have failed. You will not want to carry the tag that you have failed. So you have to pass the solicitor exam, correct? So what happens is, it sucks you inside. Trust me, it completely pulls you inside. It becomes your ego battle, and then the question will be in front of you, whether should I focus on my practice or should I focus on my exam. So if you are really determined, if you are really that kind of personality of perseverance, do that exam. Otherwise, don't touch the solicitor's exam. It will demoralize you if you fail. Unless if you are willing to accept that, even if I fail, doesn't matter, at least I would have studied law very seriously. If you have that mindset, please go for solicitor exam. It will force you to study good law. The subjects are quite good. It will compulsorily force you for 2 years to study. It will force you to work in a law firm. 2 years is a rigorous compulsory internship. Now I don't know how many law firms.
3 years now, sir.
Now it's 3 years. So I don't know how many law firms nowadays allow solicitors exam. Internship for solicitors, but there are law firms will allow you. So do that, or you do LLM. Whether it is India or abroad or wherever, I know the fashion is to go abroad, so please go outside and do LLM, so at least it will force you to study something. Okay, that's one thing. Your second question was?
General advice for someone who wants to become.
Now, See, it's a process, as I said. And fortunately, friends, because of the age of information technology, you can really establish yourself as a good thought leader in maybe 2-3 years of time. Today you have LinkedIn available with you to express yourself. It's a good professional platform. Facebook is not the professional platform what you are looking at. So what would you do? How would you first of all demonstrate yourself that you are a thought leader? By identifying good interpretation, by expressing yourself or giving your view on certain good things. So how would you develop that? Suddenly tomorrow morning you can't say, I will opine on certain things. You will not be able to do that. So again, reading. When you read more and more, when you read Supreme Court decisions, when you read articles, when you read research papers, that's how you will know that how any position is put. For example, the 5G spectrum which has been announced. Your view could be how 5G is going to, first of all, whether the auction was right or wrong. A, don't be political about it. Understand, study very seriously why 5G spectrum allocation is right, wrong or otherwise, the process part of it. Then come to how 5G is going to impact the existing businesses. You need to think creatively. Now, if you don't, how would you think creatively when you read something? When you read 2 points of view, 3 points of view, that's where you will have your point of view. Again, friend, don't force yourself saying, no, I must have my independent point of view. No, not necessary, not required. Even if you agree with someone's point of view, that's good enough. So you have to develop thought leadership in subjects. It's again a process. Now, I can talk hours on this, how do you develop that, but my request will be slow, be firm, read seriously, express yourself seriously. What the most important part, and I have been telling the law students is, during your law school, during your tenure of 5 years, why do you want to wait for your break for 4 weeks and go for internships? Not required. How many hours do you study in college, in school? How many hours is the college timings?
6 hours.
6 hours. What do you do after that? You study, na? I hope you study. Why don't you form groups? You need to form groups. Why do you need college to do that? Why can't you do it on your own? Don't you form groups for going to a movie? Don't you have groups for going for lunch and dinners? You have. You know how to go how to search a good movie. You will read reviews. You will find out. You will talk to people. You will understand the story, and then you will go for that movie. So similarly, form small groups of 5-6 of like-minded student friends and take up a subject. Trust me, friends, you will learn more in college itself than going in a law firm for internship. Identify a day, say Saturday, Friday, whatever. For several years, when I started my career, 8:30 we used to be in office. 8:30 our regular program was read Economic Times, Business Standard, Financial Express. 3-4 of us have coffee together for 1 hour and discuss important transactions or important regulations which were being announced. And Saturdays afternoon 3:34 onwards read case laws. That was my regular program for several years. Even now sometimes I tell my librarian to get the case laws on my subject, on my table. So that you have to do that. The more groups you form now, the more that is going to help you tomorrow. Just think of a situation where you have a group of 5 people, out of which one wants to become a securities lawyer, another wants to become a corporate lawyer, and someone wants to become a criminal lawyer. Tomorrow you are out in the profession and you face a problem on criminal law. What would you do? Will you not call up your friend who is practicing criminal, saying that, no, I have this case, can you help? Can we work together? See, networking starts from your college days itself. And also, again, I will not blame you. It happens with everyone. The competitiveness will always remain. You will always find the competitive atmosphere among the peers. That will be there. That's how we are human beings. It will bound to be there. But you have to come out of that. You have to get out of that. Accept that my colleague who's from my same class sits next to me is intelligent than me. If he is intelligent, he is intelligent. What will you do? You can't help it. You try to follow them, try to learn from them. That is how you grow in life. The bigger the network that you develop, the bigger network. Today I can practice, I trust me, I can advise on any law, because not that I know the law, but I know people who advises on those laws. I can pick up my phone, talk to people and get advice from them, or ask them that can we work together. That's the ability. In a library, when you sit, you don't have to learn by heart all those subjects, but you should know where to find law. So similarly, you should know who is the person who understands law, whose interpretation is good, whose speaking skills are good, whose listening skills are good, and you have to collaborate. That's how you progress. Have I answered all your questions?
More like
Yourself. You will feel, how am I going to go back home? I don't want to go home. Because you all must be coming from different parts of India. Am I right? So the first challenge will be, how do I go and what face do I show my parents? Because I came to Bombay to learn, become a lawyer and get placed with Hindustan Lever, Procter & Gamble, SEBI or whatever, and I shine as a star. But unfortunately, the first 4 years I spent in McDonald's, Starbucks.
So in a scenario that if you're gotten a job in your 4th year, then in that scenario, what would be the ideal?
I'm sorry. Come back again.
So what I meant by the question is like if you're gotten a job and now, so there's after getting a job, there's this thing you go through where you're just drifting aimlessly, you just lack a little bit of direction.
I'm sorry?
So I was asking in a scenario that you've gotten a job in your 4th year and in your 5th year.
Fourth year, how would you get a job? You would not get a job.
A placement or a PPO.
But that placement will come only after 5 years, no? After 5th year.
So he wants that already I've got a commitment that I would get.
Acha, okay.
What is preparation to that job?
Okay.
So that the first day when I joined the law firm or the company or a lawyer, because I have got a job, what should I do to prepare and make my mark on the first day?
First day,
Yes.
Amitabh Bachchan is entry.
So now what she should be doing?
So, good question, and the answer is little detailed on this, but I'll try to cut it as quickly as possible. So, if you get, say for example, placement say in SEBI, okay, say SEBI has appointed you and given you, I don't know whether they give, but supposing you have got a job in SEBI, so they will tell you which department or not. I don't think they will tell you. They may not tell you.
See, normally they take through entrance exam,
Huh.
and then interview.
And then interview and then they will place. So supposing you have got a placement in SEBI, okay, what preparation would you do? You tell me. So you will study those laws, no? Am I right? Secondly, if you get say placed in HDFC, what would you do? What do you do? Banking laws. That's the answer. If you get placed with a criminal lawyer, what would you do? Would you study SEBI laws? You will study criminal law. Am I right? So wherever you get placed, you find out which place are you going to go for a job. What is the requirement? What industry they are in? You find out whether that industry knowledge you have or not. Or you blame MNLU saying, oh, banking law to सिखाया नहीं हमको. And I got placed in HDFC Bank. Now what do? I wasted my 5 years in MNLU. Am I right? So if you get placed, you find out which law firm, which organization, which company, what subject. Do little homework on that organization. It will be helpful if you do homework. Does it answer your questions?
Yes, sir. Thank you. So
Yes.
I also had one more question.
Please,
One quick
2 more
one.
questions.
So, sir, since you mentioned that.
Please don't feel shy. This question is in everybody's mind. You have the guts to ask. That's the difference.
Sir, so since you mentioned that PERMA, FDI, all of these laws are very important for M&E practice. So, but they are also very complicated in the sense that there's not one book that entirely deals with it, like there is for company law. So, how would you recommend going about reading on it? Like, how do I begin self-studying it?
Even company's law, there is no book.
There's like a commentary, GK Kapoor, etc. that you can refer to, but but for FEMA it's very distributed.
So good question. So first and foremost, now don't go for commentaries. First go for bare acts. Study the bare act. You should know the act. You should know the scheme of the act. What is the purpose of the act, objective of the act, sections, the definitions, what is the operative part of the act. You study act as a whole. In solicitor's exam, we had 13 acts. We have 13 acts, I believe.
Now 6 papers and now I think it's 14 acts.
14 acts, which is open paper book. Means you get the bare acts, and you have to write answers from the bare acts. So you know what the bare act is, but you have to interpret it. So my recommendation will be, as I said right in the beginning, take the bare acts, study the bare act, study the scheme of the act, and then go in for specific study of certain chapters. That's how you progress. Yes, anyone else? There last. Yeah, please. Okay, go ahead. This you also want some question. 10 more minutes, sir.
So you emphasized on constant learning and having an opinion or either agreeing or disagreeing to one. So how important is researching and writing articles or papers in that regard, and which in my opinion is also like expressing your opinion or understanding on a subject. And how do you do that, or how much time do you assign to that as a student and later as a professional as well?
See, I'll tell you, research is something which is our bread and butter. That's a tool. Research is not independent of your study. Being a lawyering means, what do you mean by lawyering? Lawyering means doing research. If you ask me a question today, when I do study means what I am going to research it. So you have to have very sharp research capabilities. Please develop very sharpest research capability. Because when you go to Google, there is a flood of information. You need to know how do I pick up the best. Now, to begin with, the simplest way, what I do at least is, on any topic, you try to find out research papers on any topic. You will get lot of research papers. And once you go through a couple of research papers, you will know which research, what is the quality of research papers. So once you know the quality, download it, take a printout, read it carefully. You will understand how the person has went about writing that research paper. What is the issue he has identified? How has he evolved that issue? How has he expressed himself on that issue? What are the contradictions? How the contradictions are resolved? That is what is law. Law is all about interpretation. So research is something which you have to be very good at. Now once you do research, then next what do you do? Supposing when you read a research paper or when you read a section, you will have your own viewpoint. You express that viewpoint. You write your own. You identify, frame questions. That's what I say. You read Supreme Court case laws. Because Supreme Court case law, they will define questions. The questions for consideration is 1, 2, 3, 4, and then they will go to answering. So you will understand how the question is framed, how answers are elaborated, how answers are written, how they are articulated, how they are distinguished. You need to understand all those things. How to distinguish a point? How do you elaborate that viewpoint? And while writing all these things, you have to be very, very simple. Because it should not happen that you give your research paper to someone else, for someone to read, and he says, no, I can't understand your such a heavy language. No, the reader, your document should speak for itself. There is no, if someone is going to, if a reader requires you to interpret it further, means your writing is bad. It has to be as simple as possible. Any layman, because you are dealing with layman. A client who comes to you is a layman. If he wants your interpretation, you have to write in his own language. You can't write flowery language. Whether he understands it or not, keep challenging yourself. When you write a research paper, read it yourself and ask questions whether it is self-explanatory, whether it is simple. Do I follow that? Do you understand that? Share it with your friends. Tell them to critically look at it. Don't keep defending. If your friend tells you that this is not the right way of writing, please improve that. Don't keep focusing on, or don't keep defending your position. No, whatever I written is correct. So that's what. One last point I would like to mention is, give the mic to that girl. Yeah, just one point. Most importantly, I spoke about learning, I spoke about research, I spoke about reading. Also critical are the soft skills. Very important, extremely important. Your listening ability, your speaking ability. Are you able to converse with someone? I have seen in several occasions, students or lawyers come and they are not able to express themselves. They are not able to talk. They talk very slowly, or they are afraid of lot of stuff. So to get out of that inhibitions, get out of that couch, you need to really be bold. Question yourself whether you can articulate. So again, your group discussions helps you that, because in group what happens is you speak up, you explain. The more and the better ability that you have to explain certain things, the more you will be liked lawyer by people. So these soft skills are extremely important. Again, these soft skills are not taught in law schools. Nobody will teach you how to listen. Nobody will teach you how to talk. Nobody will teach you how to write. These are soft skills which you have to pick up on your own. Okay? Yes?
So I have a very general question. We have a lot of opportunities at our behest in law school. Like we have mooting, we have ADRs, we have the option of doing publications, etc. So I have two questions in relation to that. What would you say we should prioritize? And two, are they still relevant even after law school?
Everything is relevant. Because see, please understand, when you go in the market, how many ADRs you have attended, how many moot courts you have attended, how many research papers you have written, that becomes redundant. Because the client is not going to pay you because you have written 10 research papers. The client will pay you because you have the ability to analyze certain things, and that ability will come because you have done research papers. I don't understand why do you relate your in your CV that I have written 10 research papers. It is meaningless to my mind if you are not able to explain any point. I'll tell you a simple example. When I see CVs of students, the amount of experience that they write on CV is incredible. When I see some CVs, I feel, my goodness, she is more intelligent than me. He or she, whatever. So what I do is, I have adopted, don't record this, I have adopted a practice of doing 2 interviews. One is a very generic interview. In the first instance, I just tell them, explain your personality. I don't talk anything. I allow them to explain. And then I see the CV. And then I tell them, look, if you have done 20 transactions, pick up the transactions of your choice. You fix up a date after 8 days, 10 days, 20 days, whenever. And you come and explain me that transaction. Explain me the legal skills that you have, the interpretation of the legal issue, explain on your own. So I must share that experience with you. So I had got one very intelligent boy with the CV, and he insisted on interview. I said, look, I don't have vacancy. But no, sir, you please interview. I said, okay, come. I interviewed him, and I saw the experience that he felt that when I see this experience, I will be carried away by that. So I said, you have got a fantastic experience. Now you choose a date after 8 days, 10 days, whatever. You identify a transaction what you have written here, and we'll talk. After 10 days he came, okay, and I said, which transaction you have picked up? So he picked up one. He said, look, this interpretation I would like to explain, and he started reading from his notes. I said, no reading from notes. Keep notes aside. You just explain me the transaction. How did the transaction start? What was your role? What was the interpretation? What was the legal issue? You may not have come out with interview issues, but what did you learn from the transaction? And he started physically crying. A boy started physically crying. He said, sir, I am sorry. I said, look, I want to know your technical skills. I don't want to look at your CV. So to answer your question, you may have written 10 research papers, 20 research papers. The question is, do you really understand what research is? Do you know how to articulate a question? Do you know how to articulate your view? Are you a thought leader? Got it? Yes.
So, since we're talking about career trajectories, how beneficial?
See, friends, I will be very blunt on certain things. If I am not blunt, I am not doing my job. Okay? I may sound little arrogant to you. I am sorry. This is how world is. I am still polite with you. Yes.
How beneficial is the combination of company secretary exam and law, both in terms of...
It's very important. I prefer company secretaries and lawyers both together. I must tell you very clearly. Because unfortunately or fortunately, the company secretary's course today is a very detailed course. So if you are not doing solicitors at least you attempt to become a company secretary. Do a company secretary course. Again, don't feel inferior because you are doing a company secretary course. I know people feel inferior. Don't feel inferior. Take it as a learning experience, because you know how meetings are conducted, how shareholders meetings are conducted, board meetings are conducted, the forms. There is so much today. You can't look Companies Act in isolation. You have to read it with the company secretary practice. And company secretaries, I must tell you, unlike we lawyers, company secretaries, they conduct lot of programs, residential program. So there's a lot of programs. That is like internship. So if you are also a company secretary, see, if you want to become corporate lawyers, please become company secretaries also. Study that company secretary. Whether you pass or not is a different matter. But enroll yourself, study the subjects, make an attempt to learn. It's a learning experience. And you never know, tomorrow if you want to become a general counsel of some company, that will help you. That is the qualification which will help you. Yes. Yes. This is a very important question, but take a mic and ask, because I want everyone to understand this. ESG is an important subject.
So, sir, you talk about ESG. Now, ESG involves a lot of laws, a lot of different practices. So, especially when we're studying in law school, how do we make sure that we are studying ESG properly? Especially because there are not a lot of ESG case studies in India, like you find on global platforms. So then, how do we study it in collaboration with corporate law to develop a better understanding of it?
See, apart from this academic study, during your law 5 years, you must study the Sustainable Development Goals, the 17 Sustainable Development Goals of United Nations. The ESG has come very recently. You need to study ESG. You need to study corporate governance. Those are the subjects which are going to impact the businesses, global businesses. So you can't say, oh, what is ESG? I don't know what is ESG. There is enough material on ESG, enough material available on ESG. In fact, if you look at my LinkedIn post of yesterday, McKinsey has identified some 15 areas which are going to dominate, like artificial intelligence, cloud computing, mobility. They have identified 15 technologies, I think 15 technologies which will cut across in manufacturing, it will cut across service industry, it will cut across everyone. Now, how many of us really understand what artificial intelligence is? How many of us really understand cloud computing or mobility? So there are 15 subjects. Now these are the next frontiers. I recollect in 95 when internet came, the World Web. At that point of time, we all felt that internet is nothing but only emailing system. Am I right? But internet turns out to be much more a bigger animal than what we all thought. Now, I recollect in 96, 97 itself, US had passed a data protection law, because they knew that when you open an email account or when you open an account on internet, you are going to share your data. So where is the data protection? Now in India, we still don't have a strong data protection, whereas in US in 95, along with the internet, they all had sat together. They thought that, oh, the next frontier, next challenge is going to be data protection. So they enacted data protection law. So similarly, all these new technologies is going to have its own challenges. So question is, do we understand technology? And even if we understand technology, how it will get interpreted? When artificial intelligence starts seeping into the business, how would it impact the relationship of stakeholders of a company? You need to think about all these things. And I would strongly urge today, because of information being available, lot of material is available. You all need to pick up one subject and study on that. On ESG, just pick up E or S, sustainability or governance. Study that. You may not reach a end point, but at least you will know what ESG is. You will know tomorrow when you interview or when someone is asking you about questions on ESG, you should be in a position to say what ESG is. You can't say in MNLU we didn't have subject of ESG. Therefore, again I am repeating, friends, it is a self-study. The more you do, nobody is going to hold your hand. Forget that life now, that someone is going to tell you, oh, do this. Someone is going to tell you, do this. No, nobody is going to tell you anything. People will only tell you people will ask you, what did you do on your own? Okay, next question.
Good afternoon, sir. So I have a question pertaining to choosing the complications that arise by choosing the career options. So when we say choosing between a corporate lawyer and a litigating lawyer, one of the concerns that always arises is when you are opting or looking for litigation is one of the perceptions is that if you are not a generational lawyer, it takes time to develop your practice and you would need some sort of goodwill to develop your practice. However, on the other side of the coin, when we talk about being a corporate lawyer, when you are placed, you get hefty amounts of money, and that's always a concern. That's always something that one factors while choosing a career option. So my question is that while we choose one over the other, is it just based on the experiences that we derive through our internships or the subject area that we love studying upon? Or on the basis of certain perceptions also should be one of the factors that we should consider while choosing the career.
What perceptions?
Like when you say that you are a litigating lawyer, it takes time for practice, to build practice, to develop goodwill.
So corporate law is easy. Is corporate law easy to practice?
No, sir. I'm just asking that when you, why we consider the option, we think of going to corporate, the hefty amounts of money that you get or the amount of prestige that's associated with it. So choosing an option between a litigating lawyer and a corporate lawyer, what should be the factors?
It depends. See, honestly, there is no right or wrong answer. It depends on what is your capability of handling it. Ultimately, you are going to become the lawyer, corporate lawyer, or if I tell you become a criminal lawyer, and supposing you work hard for 5 years and you don't become a criminal lawyer, what do I do? So I would think, introspect first of all yourself, find out what kind of personality you have. And that's why I said explore yourself in the next 4 or 5 years. Don't freeze your mind that I would like to become a corporate lawyer, I want to become a litigation lawyer. Don't freeze yourself. Explore yourself. Give yourself time to understand various professions, various streams of law, and then take a call. And again, I'll tell you, friend, it doesn't depend upon whether you are generational lawyer or no generational lawyer. Nothing of that. So everyone will undergo same struggle. You see, everything, the entire path is full of hard work. Full of hard work. It's not easy. Yes? Yes, please.
Good afternoon, sir. I'm David Jain from the final year. So you mentioned that it's important to take a generalist approach in the initial 5 to 6 years of your career, but firms nowadays focus on specialist departments and also their hiring process also works that way. So how would you suggest we maintain a generalist approach while working with the specialized department of the firm?
Good question. So even if you work in a specialized department, say for example, if you work with me, for example, I will not hire you. But if you happen to work with me, I do only M&A, very specialized M&A. But that doesn't stop you from when you go home or when you have spare time, it doesn't stop you from learning other things. No? Am I going to tell you that no, you must only do M&A? I'm not going to tell you that.
But sir, why do firms then focus on having a specialist approach from the very beginning? Why not provide a more...
So law firms are not law schools. We don't run charitable institutions. We are there for profit. We need to make money, and money will come only when we are focused in our approach. The short answer is law firms don't treat law firms as law schools. That's the big mistake people carry. Correct? Law firms are not there to teach you. We will give you experience. It is up to you to learn and decide what you want to do.
So normally in companies you prefer an employee who has got varied experience.
I would prefer.
But in law it is like more specialized you will have more celebrity. So do you see any option?
Kiran, it depends upon, first of all, what is the requirement. For example, if I need a senior lawyer in my team, I would obviously need a senior lawyer who has experience in M&A. If I need a junior lawyer, I will prefer a journalist. It depends what my requirement at that point of time is.
As a student, I was given merger and acquisition, but I do not find interest in that.
Very good.
So is there any option in law firm to request for switchovers in any department?
Kiran,
or would you advise to continue there and look for another option in another law firm?
I'll tell you, your all questions are driven in such a way where someone else is finding answers for you, which is not the case. I think you will have to drive your career on your own.
No, but you need remember what they all are wanting to know is initial years I need money, sir. So there I am not allowed to have my choices. is one which is driving me to be sticking to merger and acquisition, though I would like to be in litigation department.
So I have a law student with me right now.
But litigation department will
Listen
have
to me.
less-
I have a girl who comes from, I think, Jalgaon. Okay. She was interning with me. And I asked her, as an intern, we only pay some 7,000 or 5,000 rupees for 4 weeks. How are you surviving? You know something? What she told me? Sir, I knew that I'm going to have difficult times in the initial stages and nobody is going to pay me enough money. So she learned coding, computer coding. And she is a teacher in computer coding. I think in some online courses she teaches for 2-3 hours, makes money, and then comes to our firm. So she has found a way to make money. I'll tell you, Kiran, I started earning from my 9th standard. I was rich at that time because I used to make enough money. I used to take tuitions. So everyone can make money. Please don't tell me this. You need to make money from law firms. No, you can make money on your own also, independently of law. Question is, what do you want to do? What is your priority in life? Today's the priority is that everything law firm must do. Everything law schools must do. I will sit idle. 4 years I will spend in coffee cafe day and then wait for a placement. That doesn't happen that way. It doesn't happen that way. See, question is, how much are you going to help yourself? Don't expect for law firms to come and help you. Sorry, it doesn't work that way. Your parents have pampered you enough. Yes.
So I'm Rajat, I'm also from final year. I just had a follow-up to my friend's question here. So when we're preparing ourselves, we have to self-study and everything, and it's in follow-up to the generalist versus specialist approach. How does the self-study then reflect in potential interviews or something which is later on? So while we're exploring career paths or areas of law in the first 5 years, say for example, I have taken up a job in an M&A firm, but I'm interested in arbitration and I am now studying in that area on my own. But when I actually go to an interview, they look at my CV because of the fact that they're following a very specialist approach and tell me that I don't have enough experience as to getting that position.
So you should not join that firm.
So that is the general position for almost all.
See, I'll tell you honestly, if your conviction is strong, if you know what you are doing, if you have studied enough, trust me, supposing you want to work in alternate dispute, and we should spend 2 minutes more on litigation. I want to spend some time on litigation. Please, there is enough opportunity in litigation. I don't know why people want to only go for corporate practice or that or other practice. Alternate dispute resolution is something a very big practice. Mediation is going to be very big practice. Court matters. Litigation is a huge demand, and trust me, there are very few good lawyers. So if anyone has an instinct to become a litigation lawyer, please pursue that because there is enough demand there and there is enough money. So now answering your question, if you have on self-study, you have studied on alternate ADR, correct? And you get an opportunity in M&A. Why would you go and pursue that opportunity?
So actually meant it the other way. So for example, right out of law school, I get a job which is in M&A, but my interest area lies in some...
So leave that job. Why do you want to continue there?
Subsistence, I think I would say.
I answered that question on subsistence. I answered that question. If you don't like something, if you don't like M&A, why do you want to spend time there? I don't understand. You should not even spend one day, even if it is a big law firm, doesn't matter, big lawyer, no problem. Your interest, what is your interest? Your interest is doing, practicing the law which you like. So pursue that.
I meant it in the fact that maybe I'm trying to explore different areas. So
then you should not complain.
But that when I want to switch to a different area and when I want to explore something else, how does that come into effect?
It doesn't come into effect. You go and tell your senior that, look sir, I want to explore. You can tell him upfront in any law firm that I am joining you, I want to explore. There is no difficulty. If someone tells me, sir, I am joining your department for 6 months, I want to explore, I said, very good, explore and then go, think whether you want to continue or not. See, be open with this. You see, the challenge is that you yourself are not sure what you want to do in life. That's the problem. If you are sure about what you want to do, pursue that. Trust me friends, I'll tell you today sitting here, if you identify any subject and focus on that subject for 2 to 3 years or 4 years, trust me, you will become expert on that subject. Question is, you first of all don't know how to identify that subject. Secondly, even if you identified, you don't know how to stay focused and work there. So last question.
So since this will follow up to the generalist versus specialist approach, now in 5 years, in a 5-year course, is only limited time to explore most of the fields of law. You cannot really study every single field that exists, and then new developments happen.
No, in 5 years you don't explore only, first of all. First 5 years in law school, you just study the subjects. You don't explore anything.
So then how do you go about self-study?
I doubt whether you have explored enough in the 5 years.
I haven't.
Then that's the answer. Then the question is meaningless.
So then how
You're asking an academic question. If you have explored in the first 5 years, talk to me. You have not done that. Don't ask academic questions. Done with these questions? Yes, chalo. Just give the last question.
Yes, I wanted to ask, I'm in second year. So, how is Masters in Business Administration good after law, especially after studying the corporate law?
MBA, doing MBA.
Because as you said, there are financial laws, and if someone does MBA,
Yeah, of course, you can do MBA also. Of course, why not?
Yeah, so
Why
second question, it's a request actually. How did you become independent director? Because I have seen your LinkedIn.
How did I become independent director?
Yeah.
Oh.
Could you share an insight, please?
People call, I mean, because of my profile, people ask me whether you want to join or not, and I joined them. There is no bureau where you apply and you keep, you don't, in fact, I have resigned from all the board now. Yes. See friends, despite our 1 hour talk or 1.5 hour talk, you may still have a lot of questions. Am I right? I would still strongly recommend, form groups of 5 students each from different classes or whatever. Identify subjects, study on your own, do research papers, do moot courts, study subjects, fall in love with learning, because that is our tool. That is what lawyering is all about. And even if you don't get opportunity in a big law firm, or if you feel that you are not getting opportunity, that's not the end of life. Trust me, you will be successful if you work hard. Thank you very much.